"You're supposed to wear the blue dress when I wear this," said Bill. Mary replied, "I don't want to dress like twins anymore." Bill said, "We're not twins. We're a trio." Recognize this quote's movie? Stay tuned to find out, or check out the title of this episode of Talking Pictures Trivia.
Welcome to Talking Pictures Trivia, the podcast in which a group of geographically challenged friends explore movies through trivia as an excuse to keep their friendships alive. I'm one of these friends and today's host, Nick, and with me is...
Tom.
Additionally, joining us as guests this week are...
Pat. And Andy.
Thanks for joining us. Pat has joined us for 11 episodes, including Bride of Frankenstein, The Third Man, and Nosferatu. Andy has joined us for 5 episodes, including Ex Machina, Coming to America, and Passengers. Pat and Andy still conveniently like movies. For those joining us for the first time, we start off each episode with a movie quiz, as these pivotal questions will determine who earns today's trivia crown. In round 1, each question is worth 1 point, and in round 2, each question is worth 2 points. Then, once the fierce competition is over, we follow it up with our famous movie rant, Where Anything Goes. Tom, tell us about today's movie.
Today we are continuing to explore movies that define a director by going back to 1975. Robert Altman releases his 11th film, Nashville. Altman is also known for MASH, Shortcuts, and Gosford Park. What is Nashville about? It's a little hard to say. Normally this kind of plot summary thing is like the elevator pitch. I have absolutely no idea how one would give an elevator pitch for this movie. It's 5 days of different country music festivals surrounding a political rally for Hal Philip Walker's replacement party. And during that time, we meet a number of country and folk stars. We meet some people who are ancillary to them, and we see how all of these people interact, combine with each other, overlap. It's really kind of about atmosphere. It's about scene, like the scene, what it means to be celebrity and all that type of thing. To describe the plot would take far too long, because either you say it has no plot or it has so much plot that we can't really condense it into a little summary. Nick, if you had one word to describe Nashville, what would it be?
Country. Pat?
Sprawling. Andy?
Twangy.
And my word would be celebrity.
It's time for Question 1.
What is the motto of replacement party candidate Hal Philip Walker?
Locked in.
Locked in.
Yeah, I think I just don't know. So I guess locked in.
All right, Andy, what do you have?
I have a memory of a red and blue bumper sticker that has words on it that I can't remember. Unfortunately.
Right. Oh, that's okay. Nick, what do you have?
Drain the swamp.
All right. Wrong candidate, but Pat, what do you have?
It's something about roots, because I know they have because the flag thing is like America with like the United States, and then it shows the roots going down in the south, and it's something like regrowing our roots or finding something about roots.
All right, I'll give Pat the points. It's New Roots for the Nation. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, very good. All right, so I start this year bringing this question for the kind of framing, or the let's call it like the cause célèbre of the film, which is this kind of political rally, as well as this invisible candidate who has these sort of odd political positions. And I was wondering what people thought of that that spark for all of these festivals and all of this energy.
I like the politics aspect of it, in that I thought that part was pretty grounded. And it was I right, the invisible candidate. I like that, and his political stances are so weird and idiosyncratic. Like no lawyers. Like you need lawyers in government. They write laws.
Yeah.
but I get the sentiment, and so I was trying to figure out. It's like, is this candidate Democrat, Republican? They talked about him winning a lot of primaries, and I was wondering about the primary for the replacement party. So I'm not sure about that.
So I thought the one thing that was going to weave this all together, I didn't think the country music star was the one who's going to get shot. I actually thought they were going to lead to like more of like that this unknown, or like, I shouldn't say unknown. We all know who he is. We don't see that politician during this whole film. I thought that was going to be the assassination attempt. Mm-hmm. So they threw me off there. On that note, can anyone explain to me why she got shot?
I have a reading of it. I haven't heard from Pat yet. If you want to jump in.
Yeah, I mean, I think the candidate's great. I think he's hilarious.
Tax the churches
tax the churches. No lawyers. The national anthem is completely incomprehensible. This is great. The line, if you ask a lawyer what time it is, he'll tell you how to make a watch, which is just such a great line because it sounds right, and then you think about it for 2 seconds and go, makes no sense at all.
It has the syntax of a political platitude without the semantics of a political platitude.
Like, I'm sure a lot of people know the words to the national anthem, at least the first verse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was the that. But it's just, but he says it, and you're like, yeah, you know what? You're right. It is dumb.
It's the tone. It's the tone.
He says he's very confident, which I thought he was. I that was just great. I mean, I guess the reading I had, I agree. I thought that they were, which I thought was kind of a weak ending, because I was like, well, it's a little weak to have him just show up and get shot. But I thought that was what they were going to do. So I was surprised when they shot whatever her name was.
Is it Bobby Jean?
Is it Bobby Jean?
No, but yeah, it was Bobby Jean. And
one of the few names I remember was Haven Hamilton, because he's just great.
I mean, my reading of it is that you're kind of in it's sort of this kind of festering or energy for chaos for celebrity has just sort of spilled over, and it kind of at the end of it doesn't really make sense. Like we end up getting another kind of Dallas, right? You know, Dallas being Kennedy, but there is no ideology there. There doesn't seem to be a reason why this guy shoots her. And it's also like a country music star and not the politician. So it's like the wrong person gets shot in this kind of energy for celebrity. And it just doesn't mean anything. At the end, all of this chaos and this big event and a lot of this BS, I mean, there's just a lot of kind of BS that goes on in this political machine, as we see, it just ends up not meaning anything. There's not a statement against politics. There's not a statement for politics. It just all kind of falls apart. And the only thing that's left is music, which I think is the one thing that the movie sort of handles without any kind of irony. I think the movie, with the exception of Hamlin's songs are pretty stupid, but at least two of them are pretty stupid. But I think a lot of the music in this is appreciated, and it kind of ends on this lovely song, but you know, a song that's kind of covering up a meaningless tragedy.
Yeah, I guess I said something similar, but I thought it was more that the way that they treat celebrity is that sort of pop stars and actual politicians in power sort of they start to just kind of merge in people's minds because of how because it's the politicians are trying to just use the musicians to get themselves into power throughout the whole thing, and so they sort of merge together in sort of how they see the world, and that this guy's sort of just striking out in essentially random violence. Now, why he strikes out at anybody was more the question that I had. Now, the only thing, I mean, there seems to be some suggestion that he might be shell-shocked a little bit, that he might have some sort of combat, sort of psychological damage from combat, because I think he's wearing like a there's something on his arm that looks like an army insignia or some sort of service signal. So I think there's some sort of suggestion of that, but I'm not sure that's actually really there or not. But I also wasn't sure whether it's because of the one guy who's actually not treated at all with any irony, the poor guy whose wife is dying. that he feels that sort of he's striking out against the culture because the niece is run off with this. Like with the music scene, I wasn't sure if that's what it was, why he was doing it. I wasn't sure why he shot anyone at all, was more my question. But
yeah, I sort of like the randomness, I will say, even though, yeah, it isn't really grounded in anything. It also seems like he had the gun in the case the whole time and was sort of planning something.
He was planning something.
It was locked up. He had like the key around his neck, and
that case also has a picture of him on it, which is an odd detail.
But even because, I noticed, I thought something was up when the niece picked it up and he was like, no, don't touch that. And she was like, I just wanted to look at the fiddle. And he's like, no, don't touch it. And I was like, oh, there's something weird here. There's something in that case.
I wanted to go back and reparse what he said to his mom. I think who was on the phone in the rooming house. And, he definitely deliberately hid the bad end to that conversation and kind of, was hung up, but said, oh yeah, I love you too, Mom. But I thought there might be some deeper meaning in a bit more of that conversation, but I didn't get a chance to check it back out. There's some hint of the anger within him or whatever it is.
Oh, I thought you meant maybe it was a goodbye.
That too, maybe.
Yeah, I got the impression he was looking to say goodbye and she was just rambling on about nothing, about like, you're gonna get a parasite in the South, and it was like, this isn't the goodbye I want, and then he hangs up the phone and stages the goodbye he wants, right? That type of thing. But it's odd because he's actually fairly sympathetic up to that point, right? He's actually pretty good to the old man and helpful.
It's time for question 2.
Who is the animal playing the piano?
Locked in.
Oh no. Locked in.
All right, Nick, what do you have?
I don't even remember where there was an animal playing a piano. I think it was a fox. A fox was playing the piano.
All right, Andy, what do you have?
Close. It was a human playing, but the human was named Frog.
All right, and Pat, what do you have?
Yeah, Frog. You don't belong in Nashville and cut your hair.
Very good. Oh,
Trick question. That's pretty tricky for a 1-pointer. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, very good. And so Frog was played by Richard Baskin, who was the musical supervisor and a lot of co-writer and a co-writer on a lot of the songs. So that's who that guy was. And I brought this question forward to talk about the music and what you guys thought of it. Any lasting impression?
Was it all original, or was anyone in this movie in the country scene? I don't know. I'm not
he worked on that music. Most of the music you hear was written by the people who are singing it. So Carradine wrote he wrote 2 songs for it. Karen Black wrote, I think, 3 songs for it.
Okay,
interesting.
Yeah, or she wrote 2 songs for it. She wrote Memphis and Rolling Stone. He helped out, but mostly it was Carradine was Black, and then the woman who plays Barbara Jean, Blakely, she wrote, it looks like 4 songs for it. No, I'm sorry, 5. Yeah, so most of the people who were performing the songs actually wrote them.
Yeah, I like that. Obviously, they were performing. I mean, I'll try to keep this a bit short, but I'm a musician, an amateur musician, but I've played a lot of music, and I'm a former country music lover turned kind of hater. So growing up, my mom listened to country music almost exclusively. That was the radio station, WPOC 93.1, Baltimore. So I went to many a country music festival because we bonded over that. So that scene, I get it. I've been there, not in the 70s, of course. Mm-hmm. But the tangent I was going to make was in Disney movies, there was a time in the past, earlier on, where the actors and the singers were always different people. But I think that later Disney really bought into the authenticity that comes with having the same person do both parts. And I mean, in a live action movie, it's obviously helpful, to make it work. But I think that on the authenticity is really there. I really liked, it was my favorite part of the movie, were all the performances, even though it reminded me of the other thing about my falling out with country music is that I very much dislike the Nashville, the seat of power of country music that is the Nashville mega business scene. Mm-hmm. And this movie was a lot about that, in some ways. So, but I really liked, I guess it's, Barbara Jean's last song right before she got killed. That was a very poignant song. But at the beginning with Frog, I'm like, why in the world are you trying to record in the studio with like 20 musicians playing simultaneously? You can edit this thing. You don't all have to play at once. I mean, I know I get the synergy that comes with a bit of not mixing it and just having everybody perform together. But that was a big ensemble for a song to record all at the same time. No wonder they had to keep restarting it. It's like any little mistake. The business aspect of the music scene, but the music itself, I thought was really well performed. Nobody was a really bad performer. Everybody was very good, except for the person that was supposed to be a bad performer.
Yeah.
She was
I was
really
gonna
bad.
say, except for her.
Yeah.
She was so bad. It was great.
Yeah, classically bad. I mean, it would be hard for most people to purposefully sing that badly. So that's an exceptional performance in and itself.
Yeah, she apparently was actually that bad.
That's even better.
Yeah.
It is. It's true though. It is hard to sound that bad, but convincingly that bad, because people can sing bad, and it's just they sound, but they have to kind of force themselves almost. It was so bad. It's just like the tone of it. I love the hand gestures. They're like,
yeah.
like.
She wanted to be a star, man. She really wanted it.
Yeah.
I will tell you though that her performance is quite memorable, and not from a male chauvinistic way. I felt really bad for her. Like, it was really, she thought this was her break and she's being humiliated. And then on top of it, they kind of degrade her at the end, or make herself a grade so that she would have an opportunity to sing at a big event. I thought that was a very sad part of this movie.
I like how that scene, her scene where she's singing and stripping, is intercut with Carradine's Tom singing "I'm Easy," and how those two scenes kind of work together. Because her scene, it is very hard to watch. I think I skipped over it the second time.
It is hard. It is hard to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, it was my first time, but I just felt bad for her. Like it wasn't.
It's hard. Yeah. And it's that kind of abusive thing. And then it's the scene with Tom singing "I'm Easy" that was phenomenal. With all of the women thinking that they're talking about him, that he's talking about her.
Yeah.
I think there's 4 of them, right? Who are
at least 3, right?
4, yeah.
Because there's the wife, the niece, the reporter, and the Mary,
the other wife.
Yeah, the other wife.
Clearly Mary, the clearly Peter, Paul, and Mary knockoff band.
Yeah. It was actually, I think it was Carradine's actual girlfriend at the time of this. But that scene is phenomenal. I think that song won an Oscar for Best Original Song. Song for this. But I think the whole thing, though, I mean, it's a great performance from him. But I think the whole thing is sold from what's her name? From Lily Tomlin. We like the whole performance is basically you're watching a woman decide if she's going to cheat on her husband, and by the end of it, it's like, yeah, I'm going to cheat on my husband. That's that whole scene is kind of to a certain degree about that.
Husband.
Yeah.
Can we haven't talked about Haven Hamilton's song?
Yes, talk about Haven Hamilton.
Haven Hamilton's song.
His bicentennial is wonderful.
The bicentennial song. So again, it's like 4 a.m, and my wife was like, when I later on she woke up, she goes, yeah, I heard you like chortling at like 4:15. So
we must be doing something right.
I mean, dude, and to your point, Tom, it's like my country knowledge is purely academic. I actually do have a reasonably good country music knowledge because it was when I was in high school. I'm gonna sound so cool. I did academic decathlon, and the topic one of the years was country music. So I studied quite a bit of country
Dig
music.
deep.
So it was thinking back to that. It's back to all those days. But I have an appreciation for country music, even if I don't listen to it. But those songs just cracked me up. And then the other one I love was there's 3 reasons I have to leave, and their names are like Bobby, Jean, and Laura, whatever it was. I'm like, this is so great because it's so stupid. I mean, those songs are hilariously bad. And
Crowd pleasers, though. Crowd pleasers.
And yet they are not there, and clearly they're parodies. The other songs were more or less pretty. I thought pretty legit.
Yeah,
those are clearly parodies, but they're just over parody. Like you could see that song being made. You absolutely could see that song.
A lot of country music is self-parody unintentionally anyway. So
yeah. But that character, I loved him.
Yeah,
I absolutely loved him. And especially and I don't know, hopefully this isn't gonna step on a question, but the flowers in her hospital room, that they have the floral arrangements of the horseshoe with the HH in it, which I thought was funny. And then they show a second later, though, they move the camera and there's 2 of them.
One was even bigger than the other. One was pretty big,
like,
and the other one was gigantic.
In case someone takes a picture from a different angle,
I'm sure that's why, and it was so funny. I just loved it. You're right. That's probably why, Nick, because he wants 2. So
exactly. Yeah, it's another.
A huge cart of flowers has to take the second elevator.
Yeah, I that just absolutely cracked me up. So I did like the music. I thought it was quite fun.
All right. At the end of round 1, we have Pat with 2 points, Andy right behind with 1, and Nick with 0. Stay tuned for round 2 after a word from our sponsors. Hello, and welcome back to B-Side. Finally, it is B-Side. Today we're going to be talking about Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
We're going to be discussing the famous W.F. Murnau film from 1927, Sunrise.
The Icelandic movie from 2015, Rams. Juzo Itami's 1985 picture, Tampopo. And today I'm going to be talking about a good old film that we just covered, and this is 1984's Ghostbusters.
Talking Pictures Trivia B-Side, wherever you listen to Talking Pictures Trivia.
And we're back. We're at the critical point of our episode where we ask the guests a key question. If you could write your own sequel for Nashville, what would be the plot?
So it's going to be Nashville 2, of course, but I couldn't think of any pun off of 2, but it's going to be because they're all like drifters. So I figured this one's going to be called Nashville 2 Tokyo Drifters. they're going to go to Tokyo.
Oh, we are actually going overseas.
Going
okay, I wasn't sure.
Oh, no. We're going to go to Tokyo, and they are going to, it's going to be President, whatever his name was, Walker. He's going to become president, and he's going to go and do a goodwill tour to Japan, and he's going to bring all the country music stars with him. That is going to be the sequel of Nashville 2 Tokyo Drifters.
Excellent.
Yeah, so I think in this next Nashville movie, I don't really have a title. This movie centers around, I didn't know her name in the movie because I didn't quite catch it, but her name is Albuquerque, who is the singer at the very end and who's been desperately trying to find her way into her performance the whole movie. But we find out that she's Janis Joplin's daughter because of her soulful music, but she becomes essentially like the first lady of the replacement party and really deep into the replacement politics while having this great soulful voice.
Is she the beacon that gets him the presidency?
Oh yeah. No more lawyers.
If they go to Tokyo, instead of country music, can it be all J-pop? Can it just be a 5-day J-pop festival.
I don't know. Actually, this might be even better. The fact that it's still called Nashville too, though, but it's about J-pop.
Oh, see, I thought they were going to convert the country to country music. You know, like it was just going to have its own vibe there.
What if we do K-pop, country music mashups? It's just like, that'd be great.
It's a real nightmare. It's a horror film now.
It's a deep cut, but I really love the movie Sneakers, which is kind of about spies and the NSA and encryption and stuff. But at one scene that I really like in it, they're trying to get information from this guy, and they're in a dim sum bar where there's a cover band that, well, they're Asian. I don't know if they're Japanese, but they're singing "Bad Bad Leroy Brown." This Asian cover band. So I think that could have a place in Nashville too, Tokyo Drift.
I might be mixing the two plots together, but maybe Albuquerque is the ambassador from the U.S.
to
Tokyo.
There you go.
She's starting the drift. She's starting it.
Very good. There actually was a sequel planned originally that was going to take place 12 years later with Lily Tomlin's character running for office. And I think her husband becomes obsessed with Barbara Jean or a Barbara Jean impersonator, but it never got made.
Oh, darn. That one. That sounds like a winner.
It's time for question 3.
What 2 actors played themselves in this film?
Oh, I know one of them. Do we get 1 point? If we get 1?
Sure. That sounds good.
Oh, who was the other one? I'm not going to know. It locks in.
I had to look at outside sources, so I will lock in and not use those names.
Locked in.
All right. Andy, what do you have?
Well, I only know one, and it's Elliot Gould, who I love from the Ocean series.
All right. Nick, what do you have?
It is not fair for me to say any names because I was genuinely curious and had to look it up. So I'll just not say anything. I'll abstain.
Okay. And Pat, what do you have?
Yeah, I knew Elliot Gould, but I didn't know the other one. It's a woman, I think, but I know Elliot Gould.
All right. Yeah, it was Elliot Gould and Julie Christie. Julie Christie is the one who
I still don't know who that is.
She won an Oscar a little before this, but she was in Altman's film McCabe and Mrs. Miller. She's actually Mrs. Miller in that. And
they talk about how she won an Academy Award, right?
Yeah, they're like, she won an Oscar. I'm serious. Yeah. She won an Oscar.
I don't remember what movie it was for.
I don't know what movie it was.
Yeah. I hope you tell your people about the great film studios here at Nashville.
Yeah.
He is such like the like platonic archetype of an a-hole, isn't he? Hamlin. He was my favorite. But anyway, so I brought this question up to bring up the pretty obvious theme, I think we touched on, but not directly, of celebrity and how that's functioning. Celebrity was my word to describe this movie, and well, it may be pretty obvious that that's a central theme. I was wondering what people thought of it.
One really direct version of how that showed is when they're at the picnic, I guess, at Hamilton's, Hamlin's, like log cabin mansion, where it is. But Elliot Gould comes over, and they have to get him back over because they didn't realize who he was when they first met him, and so they have to like kind of reintroduce themselves to him with the appropriate amount of celebrity fandom.
Yeah,
because now they finally they know who he is.
With the great line of the I was shaking hands with him like he was someone who walks on the street. He does walk on the street.
Yeah, I think it's Hamilton, Haven Hamilton.
Hamilton, yeah.
The I mean, the celebrity aspect is pretty obvious. I think what's interesting about Nashville as the setting for it is that Nashville it's not like the celebrity capital in the way Los Angeles or New York is, or even the way DC is. DC is like, like the celebrity center of them all. That it is, even if it's the moneymaker of country music, it still is sort of a second fiddle city to like Los Angeles. And you could see that in like the way they treat these people.
Yeah, but it's also the mecca of country. So those who are celebrity from country music are gods. There's a big dichotomy between the haves and the have-nots. The people who are trying to get mic time at a loud race, which was kind of crazy. That was the Albuquerque character.
Yeah.
Trying to sing her heart out while these cars are ripping by. Versus the amount of flowers, Barbara Jean's getting in the hospital. And, it's just there really is that haves and have-nots within the country scene.
There's also, which I think is really interesting, are the people who aren't even trying to, these are the literal groupies sort of a thing, because they're not trying to become country music stars. They just wanted to hang out with the country music stars, like the niece who's just trying to sleep with them, or my other favorite character, if Hamilton is my favorite, my second favorite is the reporter from
Opal?
From the BBC.
Yeah, from the BBC, which I don't think she's from the BBC, but I'm pretty sure she's not. But I love that character. And she's, because you even see it, because she's claims she's there to be like, I want to get to the heart of the American people. And yet repeatedly, she's having a conversation with somebody who's actually like sharing something meaningful, she runs off. And even with the Elliot Gould one, like she's talking to Hamilton's son and he's kind of sharing this like song and this kind of, and she goes, that's Elliot Gould. And she gets up and runs over to go talk to Elliot Gould.
Also at the end, when they're listening to Tom Frank play his song, she's like talking to the driver who is a wealth of knowledge of everything that's going on with these people. And she just pretends like he doesn't even exist.
Because she says she makes it a policy that she doesn't talk to the help.
Yes.
She doesn't gossip with the help. And it's, I like that scene too, because like he is also kind of an a-hole a little bit, the driver, because he is just trying to like, first of all, live vicariously. He is kind of like one of these groupies, even though he thinks he's in the in crowd. And he's willing to just kind of get more attention by selling their secrets a little bit to a degree. I mean, not selling, but giving them away for attention. And like, she can't get over the idea of like, that this person is the help, which is a very like British thing to think. And it's interesting too, because like, Walker is the populist candidate and country music is probably more than anything, with possibly the exception of blues, like the music of the people, right? Like it's supposed to be the music that is at the bottom of the hierarchy or without hierarchy. And in this world, it's incredibly hierarchical. That's the whole thing. If this movie is a plot, it's, look at these little hierarchies that kind of rise up everywhere in this world. And it's funny how like Opal just doesn't get that at all.
The microcosm, or maybe the right word is like the fiefdom that is the country music scene there. I especially liked the seeing it through the eyes of all the different venues that they performed at. The weird like half, it's not really a ship, but it's as if the ship docked back up to a pavilion. The kind of groupie-ish people lined up in the aisles at the Grand Ole Opry to take one little snap of the celebrities. I mean, I mean, sure, maybe a lot of performances back then, there was a different kind of social convention to the performance, but one of the things about country music is that in a lot of ways it's super rigid. Okay. And they're very similar solos in all the songs. You have to have the right instruments. You can't produce a song without the slide guitar. It's a country song. It has to have slide guitar. But even the way that the audience participated in the music if you notice at the Grand Ole Opry, there was one little snapshot of it. It's like the audience would calmly wait and the song would start. And then the leaders on the side would kind of like raise their hand, like, now is the time to applaud for the song that you realize that it is now. It's so constrained, actually, but wow. People were so into it.
Oh, it's interesting. I didn't realize it was that discipline a thing.
I'm guessing a little bit on the impression of like the audience signal to applaud, but if you notice the 3 or 4 songs, like they do it religiously every single time, like 2 or 3 bars into the song, it's like, oh, now we know what the song is, yay! But that little part, it's like, oh, that even that is orchestrated.
And it's like, because the way it's filmed very almost messy, right? Like you get the impression it's not like most musicals, which have a sort of there's a clear box in which everything is happening. There's just all of the workers and the producers and the people with the backstage passes are in the frame at one point. You get to kind of see everybody's opinion about the song as it's transpiring, which is, I think, my favorite character. God, their names are hard to remember. Triplet, Michael Murphy's character, Triplet.
John Triplet.
Which one?
Yeah, he was the political organizer in the Blues.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I loved his his incredible sort of like disdain for this music, even as he has to sell it. But it is interesting, like that kind of discipline doesn't really come forward in it. I don't know what you guys thought, just because of how it's made.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like the ensemble seems to be everywhere in every shot.
It's time for question 4.
Here we are, 3-point question. I'll say Pat is 3, Nick has 0, Andy is 2, but it's a 3-point question, so it's anybody's game. Or it could be a tie. Here we go.
Then it'll be anyone's game.
Then it'll be anyone's game, yes. What is the name of the last song of the film? I'll give you a hint. It's also the refrain of said song.
Locked in.
Yeah, I mean, I guess locked in.
Does nobody know?
I
don't know.
thought. I don't think I have it exact, but
Oh, sorry. It's been running through my head, so I thought that I was worried this was going to be too easy.
I
It's a
thought
good
I
question.
had it, but it was
Okay, who locked in first?
I did. Well, I locked in last.
no, I locked it first.
Nick locked in first.
It was
Andy, Pat. Okay, so Pat, what do you have?
it was something like, oh god, it was something like It Doesn't Bother Me, but it wasn't It Doesn't Bother Me, because that's way too. It's like it don't worry me. Don't worry me. Let's go with
Okay.
Don't Worry Me.
Andy, what do you have?
I thought it was something about heartbreak, but maybe that was just the emotion of the song.
Okay, and Nick, what do you have?
Something like it's all us now. Something now.
All right. It don't worry me. It don't worry me.
I was like, it wasn't It Doesn't Bother Me.
It's all us now.
I was like, it's not It Don't Bother Me. Don't sound right.
Yeah.
Don't worry me.
It Don't Worry Me, which is also Carradine. So he also wrote that song for it. And also we first hear it. Do you remember where we first hear that song? We don't hear it in that scene.
What's her name sings it? The chick who keeps falling over.
She sings it at the end, yeah.
Oh, is she? Okay. I thought you meant that.
But before then, we actually, in his hotel room, he's playing his recording of it to Mary while they're like sleeping together, literally sleeping together at this point. They post-coital sleeping. So apparently, this guy plays his own music to women while seducing them.
It seems to be working for him. So
yeah, he's very good. So so we kind of covered the end a little bit, though. I absolutely love that that when she gets up there, she actually is incredibly good singer. Albuquerque, played by Barbara Harris. Like
I called that actually. I was like,
she was going to be good.
When she wasn't when you couldn't hear a single note of her at the race.
Yeah,
I was like, she's gonna blast it out at the end.
Yeah, Barbara Harris is, I think 3-time Golden Globe nominee and an Oscar nominee right before this. But anyway, she's like a big Broadway actress in her day. But so talk about her, talk about the characters. We actually haven't really touched on Tom or Leanne very deeply. I was wondering, we'll start with Tom. What people thought about Tom?
Yeah, he's a little sleazy, but
but he's also kind of fairly one-dimensional, right? Like he's pretty one-dimensional.
He's desperate for attention from women, because I mean, even the scene that's great with him is after he's slept again. To your point, Tom, I cannot remember these people's names.
Lily Tomlin's character.
Yeah, what is her name?
Leanne.
So after he slept with Leanne, and she's basically like, okay, thanks for the good time. I'm going to leave now. And he's like, why don't you stay? You should stay. You should stay. You should stay. And she won't stay. And he's like, okay, I'm going to call up my ex while you're here to get, like, it basically is like, he's clearly trying to like get her to trigger her so she'll stay. And even if it's just like, he just wants a fight, he just wants attention. He wants anything that he can get from her, even if it's she'll fight or she'll stay or she'll do something, and she just ignores him and walks out the door.
Well, she had a place to go home to. She had a family and a husband to just return to, and she could just drop him. And he's like, well, I have somebody. You don't know.
So anybody,
he was interesting. She's a very interesting character. It's because you said she was the one they were going to make the sequel of.
She was going to be more. So it's Linny. I missaid her name, but she was going to be more of the focus. She had not been a big film actor at this point. She was a comedian and a television actor, and also a big Broadway actor. And she actually had a pretty successful one-woman show that her wife Jane Wagner wrote. But this movie kind of launched her, and she became much of a bigger star after this. And so she was going to be the focus of the sequel, supposedly.
Yeah, as a character, she's interesting because, she's one of the more, at least in the beginning, she's certainly one of the more sympathetic. Again, she's not even in the end. She's more of the sympathetic, sort of down to earth one. You sort of get the impression that she's less interested in the celebrity aspect of it for most of the film. And even I think at the end, I don't think she's necessarily unsympathetic. But
yeah, she's still drawn to it. There's still something about it that is that's exciting for her. And other characters we I think my favorite was Opal. Madeline Chaplin, Charlie Chaplin's daughter. And something
really?
And Una
O'Neill. She's Eugene O'Neill's granddaughter.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, she's
Eugene O'Neill's daughter married Charlie Chaplin very late in life, and not to Eugene O'Neill's. He was not happy with that decision.
Yeah. Not a fan.
And this is their either oldest child or oldest daughter, who was a dancer for a while before going into acting. And she actually plays her own grandmother in the Chaplin biopic. But I was texting with Pat about it. We were trying to figure out if she's actually a BBC reporter, because she gets the name of the BBC.
Yeah, that was the thing that triggered. Because I thought, even when I was watching, I went, something wrong. Like, if there's something wrong.
But she said British Broadcasting Company.
It's British Broadcasting Corporation.
Oh,
it's not British Broadcasting Company. It's British Broadcasting Corporation.
Was it that in the 70s? I was going to say, was it that? Okay.
It was.
It was the 20s.
Yeah, it's been that. So that's why. But part of me went, okay, well, clearly that's wrong. But I went, if she is British, she would know that that's wrong. So it felt a little. So I was like, so I'm not positive. So I wasn't positive whether whoever the scriptwriter just got it wrong, or whether that was meant to signal to you that no, she is not with the actual BBC.
She's a faker, a big faker.
But either way, she's. I just thought, because even when when she's like running off after Elliot Gould, and she's like, "It's Elliot Gould," and she goes like trotting up, like she does it over and over and over again. She just runs away from everyone.
What about when she's like trotting through the junkyard and the school
rotting
buses?
corpses of the cars?
Yellow is the color of cowardice. Yellow is the
color of nightmare. The black children and the white children.
How many young children have nightmares about these? This is so great.
Yeah.
I don't know how you could laugh at that. It's hilarious.
And I think she
the
also
funniest scene, in my opinion, where she's doing the whole shtick in the junkyard, and then she's in French for a little bit, and then she goes back and she's like, "No, this doesn't sound dark enough."
Yeah.
And then there's the one dude who's like working there, and she's like, "Oh, how horribly embarrassing! I thought no one was here." You thought no one was here, and yet you're recording it supposedly for a documentary, which everyone will hear.
Yeah. I was like, well, my children are deaf. Oh, how terrible. No, you should meet them. They're very nice. No, I couldn't. It's just too sad.
I know.
And I think my favorite part of her too was the cars are piled up, and I think I saw a leg sticking out from one of them. It's too horrible.
It's time for
Movie Rant.
We haven't talked about Jeff Goldblum though.
Yes, let's talk about Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff
He was.
Goldblum.
Do you want to hear the
Amazing.
Jeff Goldblum question?
Yes.
Oh yes.
What is the first magic trick we see Jeff Goldblum's character perform?
The salt, baby.
It's not
Yep.
the salt. Is it the salt? I thought
Yeah,
he makes a
Drink
Uh,
appear, but that's
I thought
later.
I thought he makes a napkin disappear before the salt.
Does he? I thought it
I
was
thought the
salt.
napkin was part of the salt.
I thought he covers it.
Oh, I thought he made a napkin disappear earlier, like when he gets on, when he's getting off of his awesome tricycle bike, and then he's getting off of that thing. I thought he made a napkin disappear.
I think it was
Oh,
part
maybe.
of the same trick.
Maybe I missed
It might
it.
have
Yeah,
been.
I'll be honest, I didn't
Maybe.
actually recognize him. So
yeah. He's
I
got to be
recognized
like.
him from the
missed that
picture. I recognized him from the pictures at the beginning when they're like 24 actors in front of them. And I was like, "Where is Jeff Goldblum in this
Wait,
movie?"
what?
Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, he is very funny.
He was
I also-
23.
He's 23.
I
Oh,
mean,
Wow.
he's hilarious. Like that
Yeah.
character is awesome. I love him. Like this giant tricycle bike.
But the giant tricycle
going
that
up.
also sounds like a lawnmower.
Mhm.
It doesn't sound like a Harley or something.
Mm.
It sounds so
Yeah.
much more anemic.
Somebody comments on it, like, oh, bikes like that are
Yeah.
popular now.
Yeah,
At
with
one
the
point.
sloped front. Like
Yeah.
after watching Easy Rider. After Easy
I
Rider.
think it's
it's,
Easy
um,
Rider. Yeah.
I think it's what's his name, and I'm sure I thought it was his wife for a while. I thought it was Hamilton's wife, but I don't think it's supposed to.
Oh
be.
no, it's not. No, it's his companion. It's the. Oh, we got to talk about her and her
We can talk
Kennedy
about her.
love.
Yeah, the Kennedy lady. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Her name is Lady Pearl, Barbara Blaxley as Lady
I
Pearl.
missed that.
Yeah. She's just drunk most of the film, and
Is
just-
she-
she's supposed to be
drank
drunk most of the
movie.
film. Yeah.
I thought it was her. I thought it was she was the one who was talking about the heads coming off the pit, like people getting like killed on those bikes. But I don't
Oh,
remember that.
maybe. Yeah.
I thought it was
she's
her.
in.
Oh yeah, there's a whole ward in the hospital for all
Yeah,
the,
the whole-
people- the young boys dying on the bikes. I'm like, motorcycles are dangerous, but that's extreme.
Yeah, I also in the cars screaming at him. Well, it was a hit. I know that. But yeah, the Kennedy scene is hilarious. That's
Those Kennedy boys were different.
yeah. They didn't. And they. What did she call Nixon? Did she call him an
She
a-hole?
calls the bastard. She calls him that bastard.
Oh, that bastard. Yeah. And she knows the vote total that
Yeah,
Kennedy
she knows the vote
got
totals, and she
in
goes in
Tennessee.
540. Yeah, and like 543,000 voted for that bastard.
well, they wouldn't vote for a Catholic, you know.
Yeah.
No.
It's just the Catholic. Oh, there was another question. I had another question was how many churches or church proceedings do you see in this movie?
4, I think, right?
Yeah, very good.
Because yeah, there's like 2 Protestant ones, 1 Catholic one, and then they show them in the hospital.
Yeah, the hospital one. Yeah, we see Hamilton and his whatever. I don't think Baptist.
I don't know what that was supposed to be.
Yeah.
I actually loved how
Great.
Hamilton was just in the choir.
Mhm.
Just
I
another
want more
choir guy.
Haven on
Yeah.
that. I want more Haven on that one. I love that one.
Yeah. I also he does like really love the scene. Like he was an interesting character in the sense that he clearly sucks. And like I think the thing that nails it is that once Triplett talks to him about running for governor, it's just kind of, you could see his eyes bright up and you're like, okay, we're not supposed to like this guy. But he really does kind of like get the Nashville scene and sort of love it. And I think he knows good music, even though he's pretty corny with his own stuff.
He knows what sells, probably,
Yeah, he knows what sells. Yeah, and I think he kind of he sort of acts somewhat heroically at the end. I mean, he doesn't save the day or anything like that, but when he kind of stands up and is like, they can't do that to us, somebody sing. It's a good moment for him. And I think this movie does have like good moments for people. Even though everybody's like kind of myopic. I think maybe like Tom is the one who really doesn't get a kind of redemption moment. Even though, to your point, Pat, he's just like perpetual, or Andy, I forget who said it, but he's like perpetually lonely, this guy.
I thought the one thing I was also going to say, which I think is interesting, is I like the fact that in the first few scenes, especially, there's sort of this sense of sort of random leveling, at least because to your point, Tom, you're talking about hierarchy.
Mhm.
And I like the fact that there's almost like, and that's what I thought I thought more was going to come from the car crash scene, because the car crash scene is the one where it's like all the people just get thrown in together, like completely randomly, sort of like the really wealthy and the not, the high stars and the low stars. And you see them there, or at like the airports, they all come together, or at the hospital. It's like everyone can kind of come together at certain locations where even the sort of the highest of the stars and the lowest of the low all sort of kind of rise to the same point. And it's sort of places like a car crash or a plane, an airport or hospitals or things like that. Those are places where or even just the concert as a whole, those are places where everyone sort of shows together. And sort of there's a lack of segregation in those particular places, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, that is it. It does have a bit of kind of, to reference something we've talked about in an old episode, it does have a bit of a carnival spirit at those points, right? That especially the car wreck, I think it's more clear because everybody gets out of their car and they're like signing autographs or hanging out, or I think that's a good point. Yeah, that there is these.
A woman was serving drinks off a tray.
Yeah, yeah. Opal was just interviewing people, going into cars and interviewing people. But yeah, that is a point. There are these moments of leveling throughout it, but they're only moments, right? They eventually just kind of dissolve back into this scene, which is fairly competitive, very competitive.
But yeah, I would like to watch it again at some point, because I'm sure there was stuff. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in like the backgrounds that I was noticing. There's just a lot of stuff that you're just kind of missing as you kind of go through it. And there's sort of like little pieces of things I feel like you pick up as you go through it. But it's not that I think it's like that there's like a hidden story or something behind all these pieces, but I think there's a lot of levels of the story that are just sort of dropped in and out. The movie it reminded me of, although it's not a very good movie, was that movie Bobby. I don't know if you ever saw that one.
No, is it about?
It's about the assassination of Bobby Kennedy, and it's a similar kind of thing where it's like dozens and dozens. I'm assuming he took the same sort of general concept, and it's like probably like 24 people, and they're all sort of awaiting the arrival of Bobby Kennedy, and then of course Bobby Kennedy gets shot. But it's all the different people sort of around it, and they're all waiting for different things to happen.
It's all like in the hotel, kind of.
Yeah,
right?
It's all in the hotel.
I think I saw that.
It wasn't good. I remember it not being particularly good, but I do remember seeing it.
It came out in the last 10 years or something, right?
I think it came out when I was in college, so it has to have been at least 15 years ago.
Okay.
But I do remember that, and I remember thinking it was not very good. But I do remember thinking that when seeing this movie that it reminded me a lot of it.
Well, this kind of movie, the second rewatch would be a lot different for me if I ever choose to do that, but because I'm worried. The first time around, I was worried that I was missing the meaning, and to watch it a second time, to just absorb it, kind of absorb the atmosphere, absorb the chaos, the goings on, and just be amused by it, would probably change it quite a bit. So that's movies like that. When you don't know what you're getting into ahead of time, you don't know quite what to make of it. It's interesting to try to it's like, where are we? What's happening? Am I missing it? What's going on? And so it brought me back the whole time. I'm thinking a lot of people worked really hard on this movie. There's a lot going on, and it was probably very carefully orchestrated. And the way it was filmed really well, it seemed like to me. I mean, there's a huge cast. There's all these different sets. There's so much that went into it. And I kept thinking, why would they put all this effort in to say nothing?
Well, do you think they're saying nothing? Do you think there's no, I mean, it's a satire, clearly.
Right.
So, I mean, a satire has an object almost by definition.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest thing that I thought I was getting at is that there's a lot of, and especially this is what I noticed, especially with the deaf, when they introduced the deaf children, is that a lot of it is people talking without other people listening. It's just like, it's all over the place where, I mean, literally with like the van driving around and saying things, but even like I love you when he's like, she's talking to him and sleeping there. It's just like, and it's just constantly people talking and talking and talking and talking, and no one, the other person not listening to what they're saying.
It could be a movie about no one paying attention to each other.
That's literally what I think it is about.
Yeah.
I think it is a huge chunk
in
of
an
it
economy of attention,
paying no attention to each other. Even like when the scene when like the guy finds out that his wife has died, and the guy walks up to him and just starts babbling away, like clearly he's not listening to him. Like it's constantly people talking and the other person not paying attention to a word they say. Which in many ways, and that's the thing I thought was the most applicable to modern day, is that there's just this constant sense of just people talking right past each other.
Yeah.
Well, I mentioned this last week when we were going over our first impressions. You can still appreciate a film even if it's not for you. So I did appreciate how many people and the talent it took to interweave all these plot lines and characters and these scenes. Because imagine how many, like some of those scenes, I don't know if they did it in one take or, that's a lot to reset some of these scenes. So I give them a lot of credit for creating this, especially for the length of the film. Again, I still don't think I'm signing up for a rewatch. I'm pretty sure I could get more out of it. Maybe if it was an hour and a half film, but I'm not sitting down for another 2 hours and 40 minutes to just kind of see who moved in a scene and who moved out of the scene.
Yeah, to get back to Pat's, to expand on Pat's point, it's do you think they're not? I think that's great. I think they are kind of listening when people sing. I think that's
true. They do listen when they sing. It's probably the only time they listen.
Yeah, I think that's
raptly.
Yeah. But that's the thing that makes celebrity, is that if you're a good celebrity, people will listen to you, right? Because if you produce good music, people will listen. And if you don't, then they want you to strip for them. Like literally, that's like, and that's why that scene is so tragic, because it's so sad to watch. Yeah. No one will listen to her. They will only look at her. Or even Bud, the son, who's like,
oh, that's a good point too. Yeah, I didn't even think about him. No one listens to him until he's the one time he sings, and then another celebrity goes in.
He's a Harvard lawyer.
He's a Harvard law degree, and he's
what dads always wanted him to do.
So he can run the business.
Great life.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's what celebrity is. It's the only time somebody will listen to you.
I'd like to once again congratulate our winner of the week, Pat.
Back on top.
Even with messing with the points, still took it down.
Pat, you deserve this one.
Well done.
You can find more of our content wherever you listen to podcasts, on our YouTube channel, Twitter @Talking Studios, and our website, talkingpicturestrivia.com. We're extremely grateful to all those who subscribe, like, follow, and leave a review. Is this your favorite Jeff Goldblum film? Why or why not? Let us know on Twitter, talkingpicturestrivia@gmail.com, or give us a call at 201-467-8679. Thanks again, Pat and Andy, for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, you could find me on Twitter @ThomasLehman15. And we did have a B-side come out, or is coming out. I'm not entirely sure of the schedule. Check that out.
I can also be found on Twitter @TheNicknamed. Join us next time as we quiz on a new release, Pixar's Turning Red from 2022. Stay tuned for our first impressions of this film.
Ding, 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 ding. Next week, we'll be discussing Pixar's latest movie, Turning Red. Tom, how was your watch?
Well, this was first watch for me because this movie just came out. It was fine. I think I maybe struggled with this more than other people in this conversation. It's a very, very energetic and very busy movie. And I found that kind of level of energy to be somewhat tiring after a while. What I liked about it, though, was how much the panda was able to represent the red panda that the child transforms into, and that actually more than a child transforms into. A few people transform into pandas in this movie, and that it kind of works like a floating symbol of a variety of things, of growing up, of literally puberty at one point, of also a sort of heritage that you are given and sometimes forced on, like a heritage that's forced upon you. And I think that was probably the aspect of the movie that I like the most, the way that kind of symbol was able to take on different forms. Chris, how about you?
This was my first watch too, because like you said, it's a brand new movie. I'm gonna go opposite. I actually like the frenetic pace of it because it really felt like it was capturing all the changes that occur as you're going from 13 to 14 to 15 in that adolescent section. And I kind of dug the anime inspired animation with the starry eyes and things like that. It felt like an old 2000 Sailor Moon, 90s Sailor Moon kind of thing. And I don't know, I just really enjoyed it. I liked all the things that you mentioned about the panda and how it kind of represented different things for different people of different generations. But overall, I thought it was really good. I'm always way up for a Pixar movie though, so I was an easy sell. What about you, Rachel?
So we just watched this, I guess the day it came out. And we watched it for family movie night. But I was a bit confused of what platform it was on. So I searched for it a couple times on Netflix and was very disappointed when I couldn't find it and thought I had the date wrong. And as my daughter walked through the living room and she stared and watched me and asked what I was looking for, and I told her and asked why I was looking for it in Netflix, she eventually pointed out it was on Disney. I know it's a Pixar movie. I know Disney has Pixar. I don't know why I was looking at Netflix. But once we got there and we watched it, I really enjoyed it. It was a great coming of age story. And I highly recommend it for your family movie night. Nora, what did you think?
I had a very similar watch experience. We did it for family movie night with our 3 girls. And I also liked kind of the fast pace. I thought it was like definitely made it stand out from other Pixar movies. But as much, I love pretty much all Pixar movies. But there's like a certain style and they follow, like there's a certain pace and a certain, like this one just kind of was different, which was nice because I watch a lot of them and I watch them over and over again because I have little kids and that's how that works. So it's like nice to have something that's like a good change of pace. And I mean, watching it with 3 daughters, like I really very much enjoyed the whole like mothers and daughters, like a lot of the, like sometimes there's arguing and they're, like all of that kind of tension, but then you still love and care about each other and will do anything for them, kind of like all of that. I feel like it balanced humor and like sentiment very well. What did you think, Andy?
I thought it was particularly fun watching it with our kids, and our oldest daughter is about to turn 11, so she's a little bit under the the target panda age here, but approaching pandadom, and so getting a glimpse, and we had just hosted a birthday party for our 9-year-old, so that kind of crazy friend energy of the girls chattering was really familiar. So I really liked the cutie eyes as our kids call them, but the anime style I thought was really fun. So I had a great fun time. I'm a huge sucker for the sentiment and the really like deep emotional stakes of some of the other Pixar movies, like Inside Out. I mean, I think Inside Out is like a work of psychological genius. I mean, it's amazing. This doesn't have that kind of element of breakthrough quality for me, but studio can't do that every single time. So, but managed to find a lot of fun stuff and a bit of a deeper meaning, even though it's not quite as deep. What about you, KJ?
Yeah, as Rachel mentioned, we did this for family movie night, which was super fun. Our daughters were super excited to watch it. Our youngest daughter's in 8th grade. Perfect fit. She couldn't keep her eyes off the movie. One of the fun things for me was every time the dad in the movie did something, I'll say impressive, the girls turned and pointed to me. Oh, he ate a donut just like you would eat a donut. Oh, yeah, a donut. Yeah. But Nora and Andy, side story, we used to watch Star Wars movies together, and we watched Caravan of Courage, which is an Ewok movie, and your daughter was there to watch, and all the adults, this thing, we were rolling our eyes. I don't know if you guys have seen Caravan of Courage, audience, but it's a pretty tough watch. But at the end, Nora and Andy's daughter turned around and said, "That's the best panda movie I've ever seen. So we're gonna have to ask her. Now she's seen at least 2 Panda movies. How do they compare?
Is this
I don't
better?
know. But really enjoyed the watch. Fun movie. It is interesting that it was kind of anime-ish. Especially Luca was also very anime-ish. But Turning Red is available on Disney Plus at the time of this recording, and probably for as long as Disney Plus will exist. And we'll see you next week.